All right, so let's get started on this piece. I hope it makes you as corny as it does me. So I'm going to work on this little cutout overlay first. And what I want to do is I want to base it completely with some warm white. It's just easier than painting those uh, all three of the stripes on the candy corn. All right, just a quick coat of warm white. Again, it doesn't have to be completely opaque. So let's go ahead and let this dry. And then we'll put our pattern on for the different candy corn. Basically, they're all going to be painted the same. We're just going to add some stenciling and stuff to make them cute. All right, I also want to just sand this lightly so it has a nice smooth painting surface. I'm going to get out my pattern. And we'll just very light, I'm going to try very lightly. This is a newer piece of graphite paper and I always get it a little dark. So I'm going to try to be really light. It can go even lighter. So you just need the pattern to separate the candy corn from each other and for the sections. Put this in from the bottom. Oh, I'm using a really light touch. It's still very dark. So I'll probably be using my eraser. To lighten that up a bit. Or maybe not. It might be okay. At least you can see it, right? I am just gonna lighten it up just a little bit. A couple places it got kind of dark. All right. So we're going to paint the very bottom section of the candy corn with burnt orange. And I think one coat will do it. I'm pretty sure one coat will do it. Let's get a little closer on this guy. I guess I really didn't need to go around like that because it's orange on orange right there. It's nice that Decor paint covers so well. We can get away with one coat on most things. All right, let's go to this guy. I'm so glad I didn't make more candy corn. Of course, I stuck my finger in it, because we all do that, right? Okay, one more after this one. Boy, I must have too much caffeine today. Okay, paint a straight line. All right, so the middle section is going to be moon yellow. I have a nephew who doesn't like candy corn. It makes him gag. I used to love it, but it's just a little too sweet for me now. I don't know if I have a favorite Halloween candy anymore. It won't be long. Halloween will be here. I was just thinking about what kind of candy bars I want to hand out this year. Our neighborhood here, at least this end of it, has quite a few youngsters. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the kiddos. Okay, last one. All right. We are going to let that dry, and then we'll add some interest to this candy corn. Okay, so we are going to try to do some little black checks on the white part of our candy corn. And we're going to do that with our stencil brush, lamp black, and I'm going to use a piece of drywall tape. And I'm just going to very carefully add some checks to that. I think that will work just fine. And I would check after each one just to make sure that you didn't get any on the orange or yellow. I did a little, but it'll be okay. Okay, a little bit more. And almost done with this part. Oops, I got it on the yellow. But not as much as I thought. So if you don't have drywall tape, you can use a stencil, any kind of stencil that you have, just to break up the white. All right, it's looking good already. Okay, on the yellow section, I'm going to use this little Tim Holtz zigzag stencil that I got. I believe you can order them from Stampers Anonymous, or just try Amazon and see what you can come up with. I might try to cut one for you, just in case. Now we're just going to add the zigzag with honey brown. Okay, cool. Just adding some interest to these guys. Guess I could have moved that up a little. Yeah, that'll work. So they don't look like plain, boring candy corn. And you could also just paint this on if you don't have a zigzag stencil. Stencils are great tools. They let you add details and interest to your piece. Very quick and very easily. All right, last one. Okay, so on the orange sections, we are going to go ahead and stencil some little circles using our drywall joint tape and moon yellow, which kind of makes it nice because if you get up in that section above, it's not that big a deal because that's painted with moon yellow. So we'll just stencil some little dots. On our orange sections. And they're looking cute. That's what it's all about, right? We want it to be cute. Oh. Slowly but surely we'll get this all stenciled and ready for highlights and shades. It needs a little bit more. Okay, I'm liking this now. It's always hard to tell when you first start painting a design whether or not it's going to be one you like. And usually if I like it, that means it's not going to be very popular. Anyway, so there we go. We got all our little stenciling done. So we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to come back and we're going to dry brush some highlights and float some shading and see what we can come up with. All right, so we want to dry brush some highlighting on our candy corn, and we are going to do that with warm white. So however you like to dry brush, just go ahead and use that technique the way you like to do it. If you want to know how I do it, I do have a video on my YouTube channel that shows you exactly how I dry brush. So I'm just deciding which side is going to be the top of my candy corn, and I'm dry brushing that side with some warm white. And I think this guy should be on this side, the highlight, because it's turned a little bit that way. And this guy, the same thing. And then our bottom guy. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to float some shading. So my first float of shading is going to be done with burnt sienna. So just a nice side load float of burnt sienna. The first place I'm going to go is to separate the candy corn from each other. It's not going to show up a whole lot, but it's good underwear to have. So just wherever a candy corn is on top of another candy corn, you want to float some burnt sienna. They're looking better already. And let's get this place. So that was the easiest spot to tell you to float. So now we are going to float some shading on the back side of each. candy corn. So it's going to be opposite of where you dry brush that highlight. And we're still using burnt sienna. Let's see. This should go pretty quick. Okay, I am also going to float some of this burnt sienna on the highlighted side. We'll deepen the shadows on the dark side with some more floats, but for right now, let's get the highlighted side afloat of burnt sienna. So basically, you've gone all the way around the candy corn. I'm going to go across the bottom on this one too. All right, I think they're looking pretty good. So now what we want to do is we want to deepen the shading on the back side and to separate them from each other with floats of burnt umber. So again, I'm going to go back and float to separate them from each other. All right, so we are going to continue to do that deeper shading with burnt umber. And just to deepen and separate the candy corn from each other will be our first objective. Really does make a difference. A little too much paint. Oops, can't keep it on my correct surface. There we go. This one needs to be mopped out a little bit. But that really separated those guys from each other. So now we're going to continue with the burnt umber, and we're going to just deepen the shading on the back side of each candy corn. So when you get into these areas here, you want to walk that color out a little bit. And if you like to mop your floats, this is a good place to do it. Let's go to this side. And this one changes sides. And then let's go along the bottom of this one. And then this one on this side. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. Now I think I'm gonna line a brighter highlight with warm white on these. Don't need very much. Liner brush and warm white. And I'm just going to go right up the highlighted side with that. Just to reinforce that highlight a little bit. Make you more aware of it. All right. I think that's all I'm going to do to this. I mean, I could have gone in and floated shading on each of the sections, but I didn't want to get it all that complicated. I think I will come in and deepen some areas with another float of burnt umber, just to drop them further back, like right here. I want to add a little bit more right there. Probably could add some down this rear end of that one. Let's see. I'll deepen this corner a little bit. And deepen here. And I think right in here just a little bit more. So I think I'm going to go ahead and call these guys done. So I'm going to set them aside and we'll come back to them when we're ready to put this project together. All right, we're going to go to our plaque now. And what I want to do is I want to give this plaque a coat of warm white, because the tissue paper that I'm going to adhere to it is relatively transparent. So I don't want the brown parts, the brown of the background to show through. So I'm just going to give this a quick coat of warm white. Doesn't have to be opaque. We're just kind of blocking out that background a little bit. It doesn't have to be neat. It's like I need some more warm white. I didn't put out quite enough. Okay. So we're going to dry this and then come back and decoupage some tissue on it. All right, so I've given the plaque a coat of warm white. I have also taken my sander and sanded it lightly so it's a nice smooth surface. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decoupage this jack-o'-lantern tissue paper in place. And I just wanted the tissue paper to have a little bit more interest and nooks and crannies. So I took it and just crunched it up like that, and now I'm going to unfold it so it'll have some nice wrinkles and stuff in it to help add some interest to that background. All right, and now I'm going to get out my old flat brush that I like to use to put decoupage on. And this is tissue paper. It doesn't need a lot of decoupage. I'm just going to start at the top. And I'm going to add the tissue paper and just kind of flatten it out. And I think you can even see the nice little wrinkles and textures that it has. So let's add some more. Yeah, I like that already. And this is how I apply my tissue paper. I just do a little section at a time. So if I covered the whole thing, by the time I got to the bottom, the decoupage at the top would be dry. So just a little bit at a time gets the job done. I think you're going to find that this is going to be a quick and easy project. For you. Almost done. All right. All right. I'm going to close the lid on my decoupage. Stick it back up where it belongs. We want this to dry. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the excess with an emery board or a nail file. It's quick and easy. I'm liking this already. Okay, there we go. Nice background on our plaque. And I think it's going to look really cute with the candy corn glued on there. So I don't want this to just be a white background. I want to bring in some other Halloween colors. So I'm going to take some Irish moss. Don't need a lot. And some burnt orange. Not mixed together. And I'm going to use my big flat brush. I'm going to thin that down a lot. The Irish moss I'm going to work with first. I'm going to just give it a quick little coat. Just tint one little edge of this with the Irish moss. And I think I want to tint make sure you thin down your your burnt orange a lot. You don't want it to be in your face. So just kind of gently slapping some color on here, making those wrinkles stand out quite a bit. I'm going to go back along this edge where the green meets the orange and just kind of blend it a little bit better. And I'm going to add, I think, some purple up here. So I'm going to get out, had a little bit of lavender up in the top. Again, really a nice thin wash. You're going to blend that back into the orange there. All right, I'm liking that. So we want this to dry. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our border to this piece. And I'm going to do that with lamp black. And just to tie it in a little bit with the candy corn, I'm going to make it a check. All right. So let's see here. Let me get my stencil brush out. I'm going to kind of do a cheater thing. And I'm just kind of going to decide. I'm going to use my little stripe stencil to add the checks to the border. And I'm just going to stencil those on there with lamp black. And I'm doing it where the candy corn is going to go first, so I can get a feel for it, what it's going to look like. Okay. And no, I didn't mess up there. That just ran into a dot. Okay. I think I'm going to like that. And what a nice, quick, easy way to get a checkered border is by using a handy dandy little stripe stencil. Right, I think that adds a lot to it. So this area, we're going to have to work a little bit around this curve. I'm going to make this guy just a little bigger. And let's see, I need a space. So on the curves, I'm going to just stencil one check at a time so I can try to keep it the same width. And I think I'm going to make that guy a little bigger so it just looks like it belongs there. Okay, so this one works for me. So you just kind of have to finesse it around the curves. So take your time. Don't be in a hurry. I think this is going to add quite a bit to our piece. Believe it or not, we're pretty close to done already. If that is a quick and easy project for you. I know we did a lot of stuff to the candy corn. And those are basically the focal point. Let's see. Now we'll get back to an easy part. If you don't move the stencil. And getting there slowly but surely. And of course I do sell this little stripe stencil on my website. Okay, let's work on this curve again. It's really not that hard. All right, slowly we move along. I'm liking this already. I love the little background tints. I think they just really added quite a touch. And the checkers add quite a bit of interest also. All right, just another check or two, and we will be done. And luckily, the corner doesn't look too bad. It didn't end up just exactly right, but candy corn goes on top, so we're good. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to float some shading with very well blended out burnt umber, and I'm going to do it. It's going to be on the centerpiece next to those checks. So you just want a very nice little float of burnt umber right next to those checks. And that's just going to help pop the background a little bit more and give you a break between the center area and the checkered border. All right. It's another little bit of a time taker, but worth it, I think. Just to make that cute center stand out a little bit more. All right. There we go. I like that. Okay, so I think our candy corn is going to look really good on that. But, you know me, I want to add a little bit more to this background. So I am going to use my Punchinello as a stencil. And I'm going to stencil some random clusters of dots. Probably get tired of hearing that. On this background here and there. Just to add some more interest. And if you have a spot where you didn't quite get blended, you can always add some of these dots to kind of disguise it. There's some method to my madness, really. All right, a little bit more down here, I think. Okay, cool. So now, you're going to need to get out your pattern. Let's place our candy corn where they're going to go. And now what I want to do is, if you have you wanted to make an extra copy of this page of your pattern, and I am going to cut out these letters in a rectangle. And you can thank me that I'm not making you line these with a liner brush. But I need to grab a pair of scissors, and I'll be back. All right, so I've cut out my words. They're just rectangles. Don't cut around the letters. Just cut a nice rectangle around them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of place them on here, try to figure out how I want them to be. And let's see. Yeah, maybe down a little bit. And I think that might do it. So I'm going to leave them like this. And I'm going to get out my decoupage again. And I am going to decoupage these in place. So, easy thing to do is leave them set where you want them. And lick your finger. And you can pick up your letter, your word. And slap down some decoupage. And then put your word in place. And then you can just give it a quick coat of decoupage medium to adhere it a little better. Oops. Well, maybe pick it up. And the last one. This is so much easier than lining them on, but you could take lamp black and paint the lettering on. But this is so much easier. All right. Okay, decoupage put away. I'm going to dry this. And then we have a couple other little things to do to this before it's done. And even the lettering has wrinkles, and that's fine. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to take a large flat brush and some thin burnt umber, very thin, and I'm just going to wash over that lettering because I want to knock the white paper down a little bit so it's not blaring at you in your face. Just knock the whiteness off. And that just kind of makes it part of the background. I got a little puddle right there. Then I want to take a liner brush and some thin burnt umber. And I'm going to line a shadow to the left side and the bottom of each rectangle. So just a quick, and it might get hidden, but it might not. So the left side and the bottom. Right. And then finally, we want some thin lamp black and our liner brush. And we are going to outline each of these rectangles. But they're not perfectly outlined. I'm going to make it go kind of past the rectangle. All right. Let's do this side. And if you wanted to outline them a couple times just to add a little bit more interest to the lettering, that would be great. And across the top and bottom. So I think this was a pretty quick and easy project that it should bring a giggle or two when people see it. And if it does, then my job is complete. Alrighty. All right, and then the next thing I want to do is I want to take some lamp black and thin it down. And I'm going to spatter this background plaque with lamp black. All right, so once that's dry, you can go ahead and glue your candy corn in place. Add a wire hanger, and you're done. So thanks for painting with me once again. I hope you enjoyed this piece. I know I had a good time creating it, and I'm excited that it's not a hard piece. It's quick and easy, and you get to use a lot of different stenciling things to add interest to it. And yeah, I just really like it. So I'll see you next time.